Growing up, my parents always told me, don't play with fire. Fire's not a toy. Don't play with fire. I should have listened. I think there's like literally 10 stories on this channel, maybe less, maybe more, I don't know, but I think there's somewhere around there, stories on this channel where I was playing with fire. Not always me, okay? Sometimes it was my friends. But I look back and I'm like, that wasn't very smart of me. I'm very lucky to like not be seriously injured by all the times that fire has almost hurt me, right? So yeah, I think this is one of those rare instances where I'm going to say the moral of the story before I start. Don't play with fire. It's not a toy, okay? Yeah, don't play with fire. Anyway, here's a story time about me playing with fire. I'm just kidding. There's a little more than that, okay? It's not just me, all right? There's definitely a lot more than that. But I hope you enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do. Let's jump into it. So today's story time all takes place back when I was 15 years old. Yeah, 15. I'd say out of all the ages of my life, 15 was definitely when I was like the most stupid. Now, I'm not saying 15-year-olds are dumb, okay? I know there's probably a lot of you that watch my videos that might be 15. You're not stupid. I was just stupid at 15. For some reason at that age, I was just like not using my brain a lot. And I don't think it had anything to do with the age. I think it was just me at that point in my life, right? So yeah, around that time, I was being very, very stupid. And what I mean by that is I was spending a lot of days like sneaking out of my house, skipping school, skipping classes, like misbehaving, just doing stuff that, my parents weren't very happy about. And yeah, I was just being, a little bit of a troublemaker, right? Now, around the time of being like 14/15, I got really close with this one dude, one of my friends at the time. We'll just call him Jonathan, okay? Now, I'd actually met Jonathan back when I was like 8 years old at like some like summer camp thing. But me and Jonathan actually became really close friends when we were like 14, 15 years old, right? So around this time, I would always hang out with Jonathan. Anytime there was a weekend or a summer vacation or a day off, I'd always be hanging with Jonathan. He was my best friend at the time, and he was like my homie, right? Also, Jonathan was equally as bad as I was at that age. He was definitely like doing the same shit I was, getting into trouble, skipping school, not being the best, person, right? And that's probably why at the time we hung out so much. We were just so alike. And we kind of like fed off each other's negative energy in a way, which is not good. Our parents fucking hated us for it. And I remember like anytime we get in trouble, they would like try and ban us from hanging out together. And then we just like sneak out and hang out together anyway. And yeah, we were just definitely like troublemakers, So one day at 15 years old, it's a Saturday afternoon. I'm in my house. I just woken up. I think it was like noon, like 12 p.m. And I'm just sitting in my room on my phone, listening to some music, just chilling, relaxing, right? And none other than Jonathan texts me. And he's like, yo, do you want to hang out tonight? Now, obviously, I was with it. And I knew for a fact my mom was going to say no, because this was around those times where like my parents and his parents were like kind of talking and being like, yeah, they can't hang out as much. Like they're bad influences on each other. So I had a feeling my mom was going to say no, but I still tried. I went into her room and I was like, hey, mom, can I hang out at Jonathan's today? And she was like, no, absolutely not. And I was like, okay. So I'm back into my room. I texted him. I was like, yeah, she said no. And he goes, do you want to sneak out? And I was like, okay. So before I knew it, I'm opening my window and jumping out my window and going to Jonathan's house, which, don't do that, obviously. Don't be like young me. But yeah, he lived pretty close. So I walked over there in like, 20 minutes. It was like a mile or so. It wasn't very long. Went over there. His parents weren't home for the day. They were both on some trip. They were going to like some park or something, like an hour away. They were having like a picnic or something. So Jonathan had the house to himself. So I got there. I went inside. We're just hanging out in his living room, chilling. And I knew I was screwed, by the way. I knew at any given moment my mom would text me and be like, where the hell are you? Are you at Jonathan's house? And I knew that me and Jonathan hanging out would probably be cut short, right? I had a feeling that was going to happen. But I didn't care. I just thought I wanted to hang out with my homie, So me and Jonathan are hanging out at his house. And like I said, I'm kind of on edge. I'm expecting like, a text at any moment from my mom wondering where I'm at. But I ended up hanging there for like an hour or two and I still didn't have any text message. So I'm assuming my mom just hadn't gone to my room yet and saw that I was gone. She probably just thought I was playing Xbox or something. So yeah, me and Jonathan just kind of hung out for a little bit, couple hours. And then we both start getting pretty hungry, right? We're both getting hungry. But here's the problem. We had no money. I was broke. He was broke. I was making like pennies off of YouTube at this point. I was doing YouTube, but it was not big yet. So we both looked around the house and found something we both could make for ourselves, right? And we found ramen. Can't go wrong with ramen. I love ramen. I still eat it to this day. It is so good. So we both start making ramen. He's like boiling the water. I'm opening the packets for him, getting the stuff he needs. And, we're hanging out, cooking ramen together, right? Now, while we're cooking this ramen and things are going good, I look over to the left and I see an Axe body spray can over on the kitchen table. Why it was there, I had no idea. It really confused me. So I said something about it. I was like, why do you have an Axe body spray can, like right on the table? He's like, oh, I just sprayed some on before you got here. I didn't want to smell like shit. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I grabbed it and I smelled it. I was like, oh, I want to know what it smells like. It smelled pretty good, right? And then out of the other corner of my eye, I see a lighter by the refrigerator. There's a lighter over by like the counter, right by the fridge, because his mom would smoke cigarettes. So I see this lighter and I was like, I have a horrible idea. So I went over, grabbed the axe, lit the lighter, and proceeded to start spraying the axe through the flame and creating a flamethrower in the middle of Jonathan's kitchen. To which he was like, holy fuck, dude, that shit's sick. I guess he'd never seen that before. I don't know. But he starts freaking out and like he's excited about it, right? Now, before I continue, don't do this, okay? This is like one of the dumbest things you can do. I remember finding out, like after I did this a bunch of times, about these people that did it, and like, I think the flame went back into the can and exploded or something. Like, from what I've heard, that shit is really dangerous and you should not do it. I remember like people from the fire department telling me about how dangerous that was once, and like, I trust them. They work at the fire department. They put fires out for a living, so I'm sure they have experience with that causing problems, right? So don't do it. Anyway, me and my friend were playing with this axe can, creating a flamethrower in the middle of his kitchen inside, which is like just so dumb. There's so many reasons why that's stupid, right? But believe it or not, that's not actually what caused what I'm about to talk about. So after we sprayed the axe around his kitchen and essentially made a flamethrower for a little bit, we both got bored of that pretty quick, and I put the can down and he took the lighter and put it in his back pocket, and we went back to making ramen, right? Now, after we were done making the ramen, he had to clear the table so we could eat there. And there was a bunch of papers on the table from like school that he like didn't need or something. And he picked one of them up and he was like, man, fuck that building. And he takes the lighter and he lights his homework on fire, or like whatever it was, some schoolwork, right? And he watches it burn up until like it's almost at his fingers and he throws it into the garbage can. And I didn't think much of it. I just thought, oh, like he's, basically saying like, oh, fuck school, right? Like he's going to burn the papers because he doesn't care about them, right? Well, when the paper landed in the garbage can, it was still on fire, right? And Jonathan was not using his brain to its full capacity because there was other papers, I guess, at the bottom of the trash can. Apparently a lot of them. Because as soon as he threw that in there, within like 5 seconds, the entire fucking garbage can went up in flames. And I remember me and Jonathan both looked at each other and we were like, oh shit! And he grabs like a towel, like a hand towel, and he starts trying to beat the garbage can with it, but it's not working, and it's starting to catch on fire as well, and we're freaking out, and like, it's tall flames. It's a big garbage can. It's not going down, and then I see the flames start to spread. So Jonathan's whole kitchen, all the cabinets and stuff, were made of wood. And it kind of like was touching one of the cabinets, right, the flame, and it was starting to catch the cabinet on fire. And I'm like, bro, we gotta put this out. Like, what the fuck? And I'm trying to beat it with like some pillow that was off the couch. And I got the cabinet out, but the flame was still right there by the garbage can. So like that's still spreading to the other part of the cabinet. And like that's starting to catch on fire now. So I'm like kicking the garbage can away from the cabinet so the whole fucking kitchen doesn't go up in flames. And the fire alarm starts to go off at this point. And immediately I start looking around under the kitchen cabinets for something that can put the fire out. Like, I don't know, a fire extinguisher or something, because some houses have that. If the people are smart, they'll have a fire extinguisher in there. And when I opened underneath the kitchen sink, to my luck, there's a little fire extinguisher. Now, I had never used a fire extinguisher before, but luckily I had instructions on it. So within like 5 seconds, I had that thing working. And I proceeded to extinguish the fire. Yeah, Fireman Luna was on the case, okay? I extinguished the fire, I got it out, but that was not to say there wasn't a shit ton of damage done to the kitchen. The entire garbage can was like black, like charred. Underneath the garbage can, because the fire was on the ground, there was a big, just dark spot on the kitchen floor, ruining the tile. The kitchen cabinet had a giant black spot because the wood was burned. And there was smoke running through his entire house, and all of the fire alarms were going off at this point. And we knew we were fucked. There was no way that we could cover this up. There was no way that we could fix it. We can't clean the burn marks off the cabinets. They're just there, like the wood is ruined. And the way that Jonathan's house was, like the alarms, when the fire alarms went off, the fire department got automatically called. So within 10 minutes, 2 giant fire trucks pulled up, and they came into the house, and they're looking around, and they see what happened, and they're asking us what happened, and we're freaking out, trying to tell them, what happened, and, we couldn't lie to them, like, obviously, because, we made the problem, right? So we told the truth. We told the fire department the truth, and they ended up calling Jonathan's parents and telling Jonathan's parents, like, hey, we're at your house right now. The alarms went off. Your son accidentally started a fire. Everything's okay, though. It's extinguished now. Like, don't worry. There's just a little bit of damage, right? And they're talking to the parents on the phone, and I could hear on the phone how distressed Jonathan's mom was. Like, she was pissed. I could hear her like yelling on the phone to this firefighter being like, what happened? And like, she did not sound happy, right? Well, about 45 to an hour later, Jonathan's parents came home. I think the park they were at was like pretty far away. So it took them a while to get back. And at this point, the fire department was actually still there. Like a couple of them waited for the parents to get back and talk to them. And immediately they walked in the house and they saw the kitchen and like what happened. And Jonathan's dad looked at Jonathan and goes, son, every time I think that you're a smart boy and, you make me proud, you turn around and you do some shit like this. Go to your room. And he walked upstairs with his head down, looking all sad. I felt bad for Jonathan, but also I totally understood why his dad was pissed. And then his dad looked at me and he goes, you know what, Austin, just go home. I'll call your mom. And I was like, okay. When I got home, my mom was waiting for me in the kitchen with my dad. She called my dad over and they proceeded to give me a look. My dad's look was disappointed and my mom's look was pissed. And I got in trouble. Yeah, your boy got more than in trouble. I had to go do some like community service thing. It wasn't like community service through like being arrested or something. They signed me up for some like thing that bad kids go to. We have to like pick up trash and shit. It was like voluntary community service for like delinquent teenagers or something. It was really, really crazy. And then after that, they made me like volunteer at this place, like a friend's business of theirs, and I had to help like take garbage out and stuff for like a week. They basically just like, instead of grounding me, because grounding me never worked, they made me do like a bunch of shit that really annoyed me, and it worked. I was really, really mad about it, and I regretted going to Jonathan's that day. Every time I was like working and doing my thing, I was just thinking to myself like, yo, if I just stayed home that day, this wouldn't be happening right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you're wondering about what happened to Jonathan, he got in a shit ton of trouble. He got grounded for like 5 months. And I remember like his kitchen needed like a whole like retiling done because the floor was messed up. He had to get new cabinets. And it was pretty expensive from what I heard. But yeah, guys, moral of the story is do not play with fire. Plain and simple. But that's the end of the story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
Take his 401k and I'll put it on my wrist. Only why I sell my fit. Still I pop these pills and fuck my life up. Yeah, I'll take a sip. Yeah, I still fall for those tricks. I got 7 days